I'm Randy Clyde, the principal of Rodriguez Prep Academy. I've been principal for the last 2 years, and I previously had served at Rodriguez as the vice principal for a year and a half. So for instructional supervision and teacher feedback, I use a model that I call the collaborative coaching model. And in that model, I'll go into the classroom for about 15 to 30 minutes, and I'll just go ahead and take low inference notes. So what exactly are the students doing? What is the teacher doing? Taking direct quotes maybe that students are making or the teacher's making. And then just write that all out. And then there's at the bottom where it would typically be feedback, I give reflective questions. So there are about 3 to 4 questions that the teachers will have, and they're standardized across the site. And the teachers will reflect on these questions. They have to be prepared to answer the questions in a coaching session that is scheduled. So the secretary will ask, who did I observe today? And she will go ahead and schedule a 30-minute meeting session where we will have a discussion around that. The teachers would have already received the walkthrough form that has the low inference information and the questions, so they're prepared for the conversation. So when they come for the conversation, I try to make it as relaxed as possible. Just ask them how they felt like the lesson went, and then we start tackling those questions. I don't always just stay strict to those questions. Sometimes throughout the course of the conversation, things may arise that I just start asking follow-up questions related to something that they brought up. But at the end, or throughout the session, I'm going ahead making notes of what we discussed. I don't write the notes on a computer because I feel like that's kind of like a barrier between myself and the teacher. I just do handwritten notes. I feel like it's more personable, so I just write it down. And then what I do at the end of the session with the teacher is I summarize our conversation. And within that conversation, we always make sure to end with what is one thing that could have made the lesson more effective, as a way of kind of targeting next steps in instruction. And so I'll make sure to summarize our full conversation in there and the next steps, and I email the teacher for a second time, this time with the actual conversation and feedback part of the process. And then we give it some time later, and maybe a month or 2 later I'll go ahead and do the process again. And in that time I would go ahead and address what we had discussed before, how the next steps or that action plan is working out. If I did observe a change for the better in like them implementing that particular strategy to make the lesson more effective, I would go ahead and acknowledge them that this time I saw that you said you thought one thing that could make the lesson more effective was have students collaborate before addressing a problem. I observed that this time multiple times, and how is that going? How's that working out? Are you seeing a difference? So I always try to make sure to address what was previously discussed along with what was new with this particular lesson. Overall, we've noticed as an admin team that the teachers are being more reflective about their practice. We're seeing a change in teacher behavior. So even though it's not a lot of visits throughout the year, the quality of the visits and the discussion of what is observed and is just led to a higher change in teacher behavior and practice. Or at least if it's not always about a teacher not performing well, but it's about our teachers being intentional about what they're doing. And so we've seen a lot of improvement just from teachers across the board, whether it's improvement in bettering their practice or an improvement on understanding the intentions behind what they do.